Is Fabien Galthie losing it? Is he inspired, or is he slowly coming apart at the seams? He's gone with the rumoured 7-1 split. It is game day ahead of Scotland against England. Well, England against Scotland, which I will be at. I'm staying at my brother's just up the road. In fact, there's my nephews in their England stash. You right, lads?
Yeah.
Prediction for the game today?
I'm not sure.
Not
England winning.
England winning. Well, we'll see about that. But they're just sat watching the video. Thank you for watching the video. Give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. I will get to France and the question of what exactly is going on with Fabien Galthie, and if he's losing the plot a little bit. Huge risk. Is there a big upside for a potential 7-1 split? But firstly, let's deal with Italy then, because they are the other part of this equation. They are the hosts at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome in the game tomorrow. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Minimal changes for Gonzalo Quesada. He's just made a couple of tweaks in his starting team. One enforced change with Simone JC coming in on the wing in place of Monty Ioane. And other than that, the hookers have been switched. Nicotera to the bench. Now, he played last week in the top 14, so I thought that might happen with Lucchesi coming into the starting lineup. I think that's literally just a case of Lucchesi's a little bit fresher because he didn't play last week, and Nicotera, one of the factors weighing into this is a lot of the Italian team have to go back and play top 14 in their off week. But other than that, it's exactly as you were in the pack. Fischetti, Lucchesi, Ferrari, the front row, big test for those Italian props. They've been brilliant in the Six Nations so far. Can they continue that? Nicolo Canoni retained in the second row with Federico Ruzza, and they need to go after. They will be targeting France in that area. I'll come to France in a second. Negri, Lamaro, Canoni, a very, very settled back row. They are coming under pressure. I tell you what, Zuliani is pushing for a starting spot. He really is. And in some respects, I think he's a bit more of an all-round rugby player than maybe even Lamaro and Negri. So it's good pressure. It's good pressure. It's the pressure you want because it drives standards. And then the back line, Pagerello, Garbisi, Brexancello in the centres, and then JC coming into the back three with Capowazzo and Tommy Allen. Truja onto the bench. Favretto in for Dino Lam on the bench as well. It's a very settled Italian team. It's as good as they've looked, isn't it? They've managed to get that one win. So they look like they're going to avoid any question of a wooden spoon. Can they push on though? They've been close to France in recent years. They know how to compete against France, but France are a bit of a wounded animal. And let's turn our attention to them just for a second. And there it is. We were getting the rumours earlier in the week of a 7-1 split. What is going on with Fabien Galthie? I genuinely think the scar of that South Africa quarter-final, which is like, we're talking 18 months ago now, I think that scar is still there. And I think you saw the fragility psychologically as much as anything from France in that game against England. When they get into close battles, I do genuinely think they are scarred by the South Africa match. It cut them deep. And I guess if you can't beat them, join them. And Fabien Galthie is going very Rassi Erasmus with his selection. 7 forwards on the bench. And I mean, when South Africa have done this, they've had utility players across the park. And they have someone like Grant Williams on the bench who can play scrum half and wing. France have got Maxime Lucu, who can play at fly half, but then so can Antoine Dupont. I guess Ramos can go to 15. That's a comfortable change. What happens if France get an injury in the centre, though? That's the big question. I guess Leo Barret will have to go in there. No Jalabert. He is sick, or is that he is sick? I don't know. That's the relationship between Fabien Galthie and Mathieu Jalabert is an interesting one. Miafu out. That's a big blow. But they do have Taufa Fanua coming in, who's another 150 kilo lock. He's on the bench with Guillard starting alongside Thibaut Flamont, who is the one player France have missed in the first 2 rounds of the Six Nations. Had Flamont been playing against England, France win. He is irreplaceable in that French team, and they tried replacing him with Roumat, didn't work. Oredu off the bench, didn't work. They do not have, so France go for that classic kind of big man. Flamont's not small, but the big unit that isn't a line-out jumper and the specialist line-out jumper and guy in the loose, that they have that balance. They don't have anyone that touches Thibaut Flamont in that area. Oridu is not it yet, might be in the future. It's interesting that Mikel Guillard is given a start in this one. We'll see how he goes. I think possibly it's a case of keeping Taufa Fanua to add a bit of impetus off the bench. Will Flamont be able to last 80 minutes? I suspect not, because he only came back from injury and played his first game back for Toulouse. Looked good last week, but that's a big challenge, and I think that's why Rumoured is among the 7 on the bench. What's he looking for with that selection? Because you don't look at Francois Cros and think, oh, he can't last 80 minutes. You don't look at Boudehont and think, who plays 80 minutes regularly for La Rochelle, and think they lose something from him. I just don't know if the risk is worth it. We're going to find out. If, like I say, if they get an early injury or like a freak occurrence happens like in the Scotland game a fortnight ago and there's 2 backs get injured, they could be in trouble. Like, that's the other element, is when South Africa have done the 7-1 split, they've had a guy like Quacker Smith involved, who is a forward, but could, in an emergency, go and play in the centre or on the wing. I'm looking at the French pack, and I don't see which player does that. So, honestly, I don't know if the risk is worth it, which makes me wonder what Galthie is thinking. And is he scratching his head and pulling his hair out, or, I don't know, trying to generate some kind of energy? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I still suspect France will win. Going through their team, they've got a brilliant front 5, Gross, Malvaca, Antonio, and then you look on the bench, and Aldegheri coming in could be one of the most significant, as well as Flamont. Georges-Henri Colombe may never play international rugby again. He was dreadful. And on the channel for the last few weeks, I've been saying what a worry it is for me that he's in the French matchday squad. It's just not up to it as an international scrummager. Brilliant around the park. But their front 5 looks great. I think they'll have too much. Their back row is too good. Maybe they won't use all the players on the bench. Maybe they're just there for emergency. Jelonch being back in, he played very well for Toulouse last week. Interesting. In the back line, it's interesting. Oh yeah, I haven't even mentioned Damien Penaud. God, the 7-1 split is just completely detracted from the fact Penaud's not there. He was not fully fit, was he, for that England game? Did not play at his best. He got brought back in too early. I think that was Galthie's mistake. I can understand it with a player of the calibre of Penaud, but clearly they've learnt from that mistake, and I don't know if Penaud's being punished for a poor performance against England. I think he might be, but I'm not so sure it's his fault, because he was not match fit. He got brought straight back in and expected to go into the highest level of rugby and deliver. As for a combined team, if you took all 23 Italians, all 23 Frenchmen and put them into a combined 23-man squad, that's what I've gone for. Overwhelmingly French, although Italy are very much more competitive now in the forwards than they were. And look at the back line, much more evenly split. And those centre positions, it's still a relatively early partnership in the French centres. And they get an injury there. There's a little chink in that armour between Moefana and Barassi. One of them goes down. Menoncello and Brex could wreak havoc. But that said, I see this going France's way. Yeah, it'll be a France victory, but not by a lot. I say France by 9 points. Let me know what you think. I'm going to head off to Twickenham in a little bit. I'll be watching the Wales-Ireland game from Twickenham and England-Scotland, and I'll be bringing you loads of videos on the channel, so hit subscribe and keep watching.